Welcome to Not Suitable for Work. I'm your host, Peter C. Diamond. You think your office is nuts? Wait until you hear some of these stories.
It's a story I tell people as a cautionary tale of what not to do in a pressure-filled situation.
And there's nothing like making a joke and looking at a room full of people who, are just stone-faced, and they know that you blew it.
What about our professional dynamic has given you a license to act in this way?
I realized she's kind of a mean girl.
With each podcast, I'll interview people who have a humorous work story to share. Along the way, I'll offer tidbits of advice to help you make sense of your own office nonsense. Don't worry, no careers were harmed in making Not Suitable for Work. Names and places may have been changed to protect the not so innocent. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. One of the joys of being a boss is approving expense reports. Psych, no, it's not. Someone is always trying to expense something that they shouldn't. And why not? It's the company's money. In this next story, Kelly has to deal with 2 employees who are taking liberties with their expense reports.
One thing that I continue to be just surprised, shocked, miffed by are the things people try to expense.
Ooh, I love expense reports. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite topic because it's just fascinating how the people that try and get away with things, but it's also the people that penny pinch as they review them. So I'm very excited to hear what your story is.
Yeah, well, I've been on both ends. I remember at one point talking about the penny pinching. Someone became so intimately aware of the pattern of my expense reports. It's like he knew what diet I was on, and he would I'd be like, yep, I had crab cakes and French onion soup and a Diet Coke again.
So he would actually look at, when you submitted a receipt, he would look at what you ordered?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I started feeling like I had a stalker. It was so bizarre.
You had a stalker. That is absolute nuttiness. But
yeah,
carry on.
Yeah, so I've been on that end where I'm like, okay, well, I know there's a reason you want to audit these and make sure, I'm not buying and eating crazy things, but that was pretty bizarre. On my end, I look at a lot of expense reports in my business. We travel basically for a living, so you can imagine.
I was gonna say, how much you got? How much? So you're a consultant, right? So how much would you say, you and your team, what percentage of time are you on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the month and the phase of the project, but in general,
in
a busy
50%?
month, yeah, someone
50%.
could be on the road 50%.
So there's a lot. So that's a lot of time away. There's a lot of things that then can,
of course,
things that get
and
put through.
Yeah, I
tried to put
through, and I usually go into it trusting everyone, no one's trying to hide anything. And the way I've explained expense reports to my team is that they're like your underwear drawer in college. You think everything in there is secret, but your mom is looking.
Mm-hmm. And so are your roommates. So are your roommates.
Exactly. So I remind them of that as sort of a, hey, don't be silly about what you try to put in. You think it's hidden.
Except for someone on your team that says, underwear? I don't wear underwear. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. Underwear drawer.
Exactly. So I've had some doozy expense reports. The one that stands out as being sort of the most epically hilarious is we had a training session that was happening in New York. And again, when people come to work for us, they know travel is part of the job. That's just like saying you're going to work for a call center and you don't want to talk on the phone. Sorry, doesn't really work. So, travel is there for most people as part of their expectation of their job. So there was an internal training session that was happening. And before the session, there was a woman on my team who talked a lot about wanting to go check out this new yoga class when she was in New York. Great. So we were talking about it. It was naked yoga.
Okay.
Hey, to each is their own. Awesome. I applaud your confidence and bravery.
I applaud your openness in sharing with me the fact that you want to do a little nude yoga while you're in New York.
Right.
But
that's their prerogative. Yeah. You've got downtime, do what you want with it, whatever. So,
you must have you must be a very open boss that people feel that comfortable sharing this with you. I don't think people feel very comfortable sharing that with me, but you apparently kind of set the stage where people could share that.
Yeah, we like to say bring your whole self to work.
I love that. It's okay. Yeah, I always say I only want 3/4 of yourself. There's a 15% I don't want to know. So, but you guys bring your whole self.
We bring our whole self, so we knew. And we thought, okay, that's your jam, naked yoga, awesome. So, I don't think twice about it other than I wonder how it went. I mean, do you ask someone? Like, what did you see? Well, I don't know. I don't want to know. But
now, Kelly, do you do yoga? Like, are you a yoga person?
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't like sweating by that many strange people.
Right. Okay.
So naked yoga is totally off the table for me. But I understand the benefits are amazing. Okay. So, when I get her expense report a couple of weeks later, it's not on my mind that she has talked extensively about taking this naked yoga class, but I start looking through her expense report and I see yoga. And I start putting the pieces together and I'm like, wait a minute, she expensed her yoga? Now, the fact that it was naked yoga had nothing to do with my reaction.
Well, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Because you're still a little skeeved out by the fact that she told you. All right, so come on.
Yeah. But it wasn't that it was naked that made it sort of a red flag. It was that you can't expense your workouts, let alone a workout that you've been going on and on about. You're so excited that you get to do because you're in this particular city. So I have to deny the expense report.
Now, did she have a receipt? Like this come from a nude yoga class? Like, did this receipt say Nick's nude yoga, or where was, or was it just one of those, just kind of wrote in, $40? How much was it? Like, what was? Do you remember what the expense was?
I don't remember.
I mean, it's New York, so it's probably a premium.
$30 or something, maybe. And again, I don't nickel and dime people's expense reports like, dinner. Like, we're pretty flexible. So I have to tell her. Also, I was wondering, like, wait, it was naked yoga. Where'd she put the receipt? Like, just side note. Yeah, where'd this come from?
Good question. Yeah.
And so I had to deny the expense report, and she really, really was putting up a fight about it. And she kept saying, well, it's because it's naked yoga. I said, no, it doesn't matter what kind it was. You can't expense yoga on work trips. She's like, well, I think it's, and I'm like, there's no thinking that you can't expense your workouts. And her argument was that she had signed up for a month-long yoga pass or something, and this trip happened during the time she had the pass, and I had to explain, well, you know what we do for a living. I wouldn't sign up for any time-sensitive. That's your prerogative if you lose them because you travel. But it turned into this whole thing, and I was a little bit of the bad guy because I wouldn't approve naked yoga, but I said I wouldn't approve any yoga on an expense report. So that was sort of a comical situation that's become part of the urban. I
was gonna say, is this part of the folklore now within the agency? Yeah. Don't try and put through a naked yoga class with Kelly, because she will deny it.
She will deny the naked yoga. Yeah.
And is this person still around?
She's not.
Yeah.
That's not why. She's moved on to awesome, bigger, better things.
Okay, so she didn't hold a grudge against you on this.
I hope not.
So there's kind of two. It seems like there's two lessons here. One is don't share. Like, it's a whole self is one thing, but like when it gets to things like nude yoga, like, let's not share this. And I guess the other trick that I would have done is I would have submitted a receipt for a taxi somewhere.
Right.
Because in New York, it's easy to take a $30 taxi. I would have been like, $30 taxi, kind of downtown to Upper West Side, and done.
Yeah, I mean, expense reports are a pain in the butt. Work travel, we get it. I would have been, it just was so blatant. I was like, I just can't do that. But I've had other people we had someone else who tried to expense a $70 shot of something.
Wait a minute, a $70 shot?
Yeah.
That's more like, it's a
round.
Meal for, I mean, that's, it's a couple rounds.
Yeah.
Well, in New York, it's maybe one round. So if you're in New York, it's maybe one round. So what was the reason for that? Like, what was
a celebration?
Someone
was celebrating while they were in the field, and
And was there was this person the only person that got the $7
Yeah.
shot? Like everyone else got like a $10 shot
Yeah.
and they got the $7
Yeah,
one?
they were celebrating
Okay. All right.
promotion. Which I said, let's find a different way to celebrate that doesn't involve an expense report that goes back to the client.
Yeah. So the question is, did that one go through?
No, I had to deny that.
Oh, you had to
one as
deny that
well.
too?
Yeah.
Oh. So you're kind of like the expense report denier.
God, I know. What a terrible reputation. No expensing for you.
So now have you found, is there like a common type of person? Like, are there traits that both these persons shared that now when other people, you begin to, kind of pick them up and maybe pay a little attention to certain types of people's expense reports?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it comes from people tenure in the company or experience.
So would you say like the new people are more apt to take advantage of it a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, whether they're doing it on purpose or just because they see it as, I mean, you've got to think about it. Some of these per diems are probably more than they would spend on their own at home, and like people who are on their, first business trips, first nice hotels.
So like your eyes start getting huge. It's like, well, let's room service.
Which we want people to eat and take care of themselves and do all of those things. But I think it's people who also have less connection to what I would say like the business of running a project.
Okay.
So of course, the higher up you are in the company, the more tenured you are, you start keeping an eye on where the money's coming and going. And probably the more junior you are, you just see
So they're kind of just doing the work, but not necessarily worried about the finances.
Right, yeah. So the business of running a project, they're probably a little bit further away from. And then you remind them, like, this comes out of your profit. And they're like, profit? What's that?
What's a profit?
Yeah. And so I would say it's people who are learning. So I try to remind them that, all of this eats into what actually matters most to the company, which is profit.
Yeah.
And that ultimately impacts their ability at the end of the day. If we're all, having a fancy dinner here and there, that adds up over the year, over a lot of people. And then, it's like, oh.
And you guys are a relatively small company.
Yeah.
So everyone can feel the benefit of profits because that can impact either getting raises or bonuses or whatever it may be. More so than if it's a big company where it can get it can feel like these faceless senior level people, then I'm really disconnected to it. But for you guys are really connected to the finances of the company.
Yeah, there's no impression, I hope not, of a faceless entity whose pockets are being lined, by the hard work of the people on the ground. So yeah, I sort of have to remind everyone, like, this actually matters in the long run. And I don't, if someone's traveling and they're feeling sick and they need to buy some Advil, okay, yeah, buy some Advil. I'm not going to freak out about that. But sort of the silly extravagances like $70 shots and naked yoga. And I think someone else did like champagne and oysters or something like for breakfast. I don't know.
For breakfast, no
it's
less.
Very
Wow.
fancy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Are you guys hiring?
Yeah.
I would
someone to audit expense reports.
I want to work for your company, but I don't want to work for you though. Like, is there someone else I can go work for?
Yeah.
Because if I can get champagne and oysters for breakfast in the morning and some strawberries thrown in there, maybe some tickets for Wimbledon, I would be like, that's my kind of company.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Sure, wink, wink.
All right, yeah. Well, thank you. This is great. This is great stories. I love expense report stories. Fantastic fun. Great to see you again. Thanks for being on
welcome.
Not Suitable for Work.
Of course.
Kelly is part of a successful consulting practice in Chicago and has learned how to spot a questionable expense report from a mile away. If you want more Not Suitable for Work or have a work story to tell, be sure to follow us on Facebook at Not Suitable for Work. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. I'm Peter C. Diamond. You can follow me on Twitter at Peter C. Diamond. Not Suitable for Work is produced by Matt Cunningham at Truthful Enthusiasm. Get your story online with truthfulenthusiasm.com. Until next time.